Hi, my name is Shayna, and I just want to talk about how right now I am the happiest that I have been in my whole life. I have gotten to this point by having the ability to persevere through many obstacles. I've gone through many difficulties in my life, as everyone else has. My first difficulty started when I was born. I was born into a house full of drugs and bad parenting. My birth parents did drugs. They never really watched me because they were doing drugs. There was an instance where I was left alone in the bathtub at about the age of 4. It's pretty obvious, you're not really supposed to leave kids in the bathtub, especially at that young. My grandparents ended up trying to adopt me. My birth parents had the option to get me back, but they didn't really try very hard, so it didn't work. And my grandparents in the end did end up adopting me. I had to go through the difficulties of dealing with emotions of not being wanted, and that was pretty hard for me for a while, but I've gotten over it and pushed past it. My next obstacle came when I was in middle school. I started thinking a lot about my future, and I realized that I really wanted to go to the University of Iowa. My parents had always told me that if I wanted to get into the University of Iowa, I had to have really good grades. So I started thinking a lot about my grades, and I started worrying a lot, and I had to figure out how to keep my grades up, and I struggled a lot in math, so it was difficult for me to ask a lot of questions. There was an instance in high school where I was in ALG, and I wasn't really getting it very much, and I basically had to take it upon myself to learn the math and ask a lot of questions so that I finally got it so that my grades would be decent. The last obstacle came when I was in high school. I got my first job working at a family restaurant as a waitress. It was difficult for me working throughout the week and still trying to keep my grades up, especially because high school classes can be pretty difficult and you can get a lot of homework depending on the teachers. So I had to ask even more questions and work extra hard, even when I was tired, but I was making money and it was pretty great. Then I decided I wanted to get a job at the casino. So I had to work really hard for that job. I had to go through a lot of things to get that job, but I finally got it, and then school started, and I realized I'm working 8-hour shifts 3 or 4 times a week, and now it's even harder to keep grades up. But I'm doing it, and so far it's pretty great. I've had a pretty great ability to persevere through all these obstacles. I recently got accepted into the University of Iowa, so that's pretty great. But everyone has gone through things similar to this, and I just think it's a great thing to have the ability to persevere.